very important too.
That's a different species. Oh, that's a different genus from Pennsylvania.
This is brand new.
This is going to make a huge splash.
I realized right then that this was something exceptionally amazing.
Pretty spectacular. This is a very real animal. You can post our little claws right here.
You know, our worship of the new angle on sexual dimorphism, pachycephalosaur. It's the best new species.
This is the most important pachycephalosauric skull found since the ThaWaDa ballads in 1922. That is extraordinary. No one's going to believe this. This is just amazing. No one would have believed me had I said I saw a pachycephalosaur from the land with wide open temporal finesse. It doesn't happen ever.
So whether it's a separate species or whether it's a female morph, either way it's important.
This is the part that is making everybody so excited.
Yeah, these fenestra right here are usually very small or gone. Most pachycephalosaurs have this big dome right there, and this is no real indication of a large dome and these huge fenestra.
And absolutely no dome.
That's unreal.
Pretty amazing.
How long can you get to work such neat stuff?
This is
It's almost to the point right now where you can see all of the features necessary to define new species, new genus, new subfamily. I mean, this is like the first Europeans who saw a kangaroo.
Holy moly. My goodness.
It's a new genus.
No question. Absolutely no question.
Dang, that's amazing. People will not believe this.
No.
People simply will not believe this.
And this is big.
Do you believe in dragon? Well, I hope you do. HaWah put him here to protect you, but you forgot you. Ooh, 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 ooh. Hey, Drop Nation, what it do? Hey, we back with some Dragon Drop. Hey, this just, hey, love to the family, JR. One of my cinematographer homies, man. Does some great work, great film drop out in Manhattan. He's out in Manhattan, man. We've been talking about some free Phineas, situations, man. We're gonna pop off with a great documentary all about Phineas, man. Look out for it. And hey, he sent me this. He said, man, this is getting too real, man. Not this one here. Actually, somebody else sent me this one here. My bad. But the one we about to watch, man. Love to the bro JR. And love to the family, man. Y'all just be dropping Drop Nation. I can't say enough about how much Drop Nation contributes to the wave, how much we have unraveled, and how much the drop just keeps flowing, the water keeps flowing. So we're looking at dragons. Now, dragons can have all types of meanings. Back to etymology, which just means to see clearly, to see. But this whole reptile flow type dragon, you know what I mean? You got your etheric dragons, you know what I'm saying? You got your seraphim, burning ones, in the throne, with the creator singing holy, holy in Isaiah chapter 6. You know what I'm saying? So, you got different elements, man. You got the elements, right? The fire, the water, the air, the earth. That's the dragon, the elements, the frequency, the light. To see, again, to see the light. To see the light. Right. We just talked about light and the wave and how we can connect to the wave through the frequency, which is the light, which is the code. We just talked about that. So, all right. But just on the reptile flow or the dinosaur flow, before this term dinosaur was used, before 1842, 1841, it was just called dragon, dracons. So they're finding a different species of a dragon. Oh, it's a brand new genus. I mean, they're going crazy over this dragon. And then we're going to get some great dragon drop from one analog, man, dropping great drop. So, we're just going to have some dragon drop. Shabbat Shalom, man, to the Khan, man. Hey, one more again. They're going crazy over this new species of Dracan.
So we're invested in a new species.
This is the most important pachycephalosaurid skull found since the Troodon Validus in 1922. That is extraordinary. No one's going to believe this. This is just amazing. No one would have believed me had I said I saw a pachycephalosaurid from the lands with wide open temporal fenestra.
Dragon.
It doesn't happen ever.
So whether it's a separate species or whether it's a female morph, either way, it's important.
We don't know,
This is
Bob.
the part that is making everybody so excited.
Yeah, these fenestra right here are usually very small or gone. Most pachycephalosaurs is a big dome right there, and this is no.
So you're looking at part of the skull of a dragon, literally. It ain't myth no more. They gave you dinosaurs. Dinosaurs or dragons didn't have to have wings. They could be land dragons. They could be water dragons, right? You got the Leviathan in the Book of Job, right? One of the oldest dragons. I mean, this is HaWah, right? Man. You got dragons in the land, Prester John. Remember, they playing with them like dogs. They just having fun with their dragons. The dragons are invited to all the weddings and the banquets. And without the dragons there, it says the banquet won't even be complete. The celebration won't even be complete without the dragons, man. Now, that's if you're just talking the reptile flow or you're talking the angelic flow in the script. Again, the angels are the seraphim. The seraphim are the six-winged dragons in Isaiah chapter 6. And then they got their hijack dragon in the book of Revelations, right? Who was actually doing the right thing because he wanted to devour this hijacked child. This child, which is Zeus, my nigga. So he was really being hijack free, but they told it in the hijack type of way, where you didn't know who the hero was. But that red dragon is the hero in Revelations, man. But you got Nehemiah chapter 2. He's flying on a dragon, a big beast flying in the air. Read Nehemiah chapter 2 with a dragonfly perspective. And remember, a dragonfly can see 360-degree panorama. So we got to see this clearly, and that's the etymology of a dragon.
No real indication of a large dome and these huge fenestra.
And absolutely no dome.
That's unreal.
Pretty amazing.
How lucky can you be to get to work on such neat stuff?
It's almost to the point right now where you can see all of the features necessary to define new species, new genus, new subfamily. I mean, this is like the first Europeans who saw a kangaroo.
Holy moly. My goodness.
It's a new genus.
No question. Absolutely no question.
Dang, that's amazing. People will not believe this.
No.
People simply will not believe this.
This is big news. This is big news.
This is totally unexpected, really. It's just totally.
Doom, doom, doom. And it's called the Dracorex. Come on, man. I can't make this up. Y'all remember the Dracorexes?
Hey,
Come on, Hijack City. Calm down. You chill out, man. Y'all remember the Dracorexes? Y'all do this with me, man. Don't make me do all the typing, man. All right? You type it in. I need you to get the drop, man. Dracorexes, man. Yeah, the hogwartsia, man. This is a real dragon. These are bones in the National or Natural History Museum, man. And we got another link that it was in the there we go, hogwartsia, the Children's Museum. So, come on, bruh. 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 Come on, brother. I can't make this stuff up. I'm just playing it. We just playing. We ain't even digging right now. You know what I'm saying? We just playing. Just having fun. Getting wavy. Connecting with ourselves. Keeping our cold. Breathing through tough, tight spots. Seeing clearly, man. Building in real time. Kanaga's building Nagaville. A lot going on behind the scenes. A lot happening, man. So Just be happy, for yourself, man. Because, you did this, man. Like, you did this, man. I'm here because you did this, man. All right? We here because you did this, man. Drop Nation, let's go. Dragon King. Okay, boss. So what you saying is, boss, what you're calling the Dracorex is, boss? Hold up, man. Let me get the hijack out.
Is that a JetBlue Plus card? When you buy me with your card?
My bad, y'all. My bad. I got cupcakes and stuff. Let's just pause it right there. All right, so when they got the Dracorexes talking, all these doctors are looking at this thing like, oh, it's a new species. They're gonna give you some picture of something, that they think it might look like without the wings. But in this next drop, you're gonna get how they found, a couple explorers found this dragon somewhere like way subterranean, underneath the Colorado Rocky Mountains, I believe. But we're gonna get it. And they found the dragon and they found the bones, which would be the wings. Like sometimes, it's separated from the rest of the body after the decomposition, you know what I mean? So it's easy for them not to put the wings back up when they do the display or when they draw an illustration like this. It's easy for them not to put the wings on it. But now when you think of a Tyrannosaurus Rex, a T-Rex, Rex means king. Don't they call Prester John the Rex Nick Goose, my nine? Okay. We're talking king, like King Kong, right? King Kong will be a Rex. Okay. All right. Dracorexis is a cephalosaur, right, from the end of the Cretaceous period, which was identified after the discovery of a spectacular skull. The skull lacks the dome characteristics, so we just got this in a video, of this group, and instead has spikes and frills reminiscent of a mythical dragon. Come on, boss. Reminiscent, or is it the same damn thing? It's a dragon. You just found a dragon. You see the spikes. It's popping off. You got some wings. Yeah, man. So that's how they got these Dracorexes. And they call it like Hogwarts, like the Harry Potter, right? Okay. After the Dragon King in Hogwarts, because it looked just like the dragon in Hogwarts. Now you gotta go see the movie, Harry Potter. And this is what they found in real time, for real. And I can't make this up. This is what these scientists found, man. This is what they do. What it say? The first impression of Dracorex's hogwartsia is special thanks to Neil and Peter Larson, Doctors Phil Curry and Eva Kofakis, and Dr. Robert Baker, or Bakar Baker. Thank you to curator Dallas Evans, Victor Porter, and Shane Zimmer. The paleontologists were attending an annual meeting of the American Association of Museums and only saw the skull by coincidence. Of note, when Dr. Baker refers to a very old animal, he was previously pointing out primitive features such as the open fenestre, the jugal postorbital are fused, as are additional sutures, which would indicate an adult. For more information, go to the Dracorexes.com. What? You got a Dracorexes.com? You can learn a lot more, man. Managa, you see it right there if you want to go deeper. If you think this is play, go to Dracorex.com. All right. So this is Dracorexes in the Children's Museum, man. Okay. You think it's play? Man, hold up, man. We're going to dodge this hijack. Okay, there we go.
We're here at the Children's Museum of Indianapolis, and we're asking ourselves the simple question: is there any truth behind the myths and legends of dragons?
13 years ago, The fossilized bones of a dinosaur were brought into the Children's Museum of Indianapolis. And when scientists looked a little bit closer, they discovered something that they had never seen before.
As the scientists began to piece together the bones of the skull, an image began to emerge of an organism that seemed to defy our knowledge of dinosaurs. In fact, it looked like it was much better suited to be in a Harry Potter novel.
They discovered that they were looking at something they had never seen before. Something that belonged in the world of witches, wizards, and dragons.
The challenge that the scientists faced as they pieced together this bizarre-looking dinosaur was to come up with a name that might just do justice to this odd-looking creature. Something that really belonged in a Harry Potter movie. And this is exactly what they did. Dracorex, the dragon.
Now, do you believe that this little crappy ass display right here is the actual bones and the actual thing, or just what they've wanted to give the public as an image? The same thing they do in their movies. They choose their image. They choose how they want to brainwash you. They give you some truth with a whole lot of fiction. What do you think it really looked like, right? How big was this thing for real? Like, what's really popping? So we're getting this account, and then we're going to kind of juxtapose it with a separate account of a familiar article, but I don't think we ever read the fine print because it was written real small. Sometimes that's how they get us. It's like, oh man, that's some small little writing right there. I'm gonna get back to that. So we're gonna get back to it, and you're gonna see how immaculate this story is. It's amazing. Matter of fact, man, without further ado, let's just get it, man. Let's just get it. Let's get it, man. All right. Love to the family. JR out in Manhattan popping off. I'm going to belly flop here, and then I'm going to get it from the top. Either now or another time. I'll figure it out. But the story is amazing, man. Love to the archivist with analog. All right. Fair use in your caboose bone, everybody. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. Let's go.
Episode 6, Utah. And every one of these series has something that correlates with that article I just read, but I'm just going to highlight a few here. Pulse of Western Progress, Nebraska, 1894. 120-foot-long dragon found in Utah. Circular.
Managa, this is out of their records. They're not trying to brainwash you that dragons are real, that dragons exist, even though they're putting it in all their movies. Harry Potter, How to Train Your Dragon, Game of Thrones, and on and on and on, right? Dragon Ball Z, just dragons everywhere. But you're not supposed to believe that this mythos has a connecting reality beyond mythology. You know what I'm saying? Every culture talks about dragons. There's dragon petroglyphs in the Americas, my nigga. The green dragon, Arcadian green dragon petroglyph, and many other petroglyphs of dragons are right here. China, all throughout Asia, Europe. Except in Europe, it was the op. They were the ops a lot of times. So they had scary dragon stories of the dragons whooping their ass because those weren't their dragons. You know, those weren't their nagas. The dragons were fighting on behalf of the indigenous Khans, man. That's the truth. And to take out the Khan, they had to take out the dragon because it's a lot of times a connection between a Khan and his dragon or her dragon. If you defeat the Khan, then you defeat the dragon, my nigga. Because you're connected. If they put you to sleep, they put the dragon to sleep. If you don't care about the code, the dragon don't care about the code. It's going to stay asleep inside of you. They create the opposites, the Cadmus, the Conscientio, the coming together of opposites. And alchemy slays the dragon, so they created your opposites, put them against you to slay you. Okay? Checkerboard, white and black, opposites. Bloods and Crips, Republican, Democrat, GDBD. They have to create opposites to slay the dragon and get you eating your own tail. So when you see the Ouroboros snake eating his own tail, or the dragon eating his own tail, or her own tail, it's because of the creation of opposites to trick you into slaying yourself, killing yourself, eating your own tail. They're finding bodies on bodies in Utah, bodies on bodies everywhere. Why is this important? Because just like the Naga rises, you're connected to your dragon. Because every Naga got a dragon. Hey, how to tie Bazan. Soulbone Podcast, we popping off. We're going to have some dragon drop for the next Soulbone Podcast. Look out for us, man. It's going up. There's a lot going on behind the scenes. But we're right here for you. You know what I mean? Let's talk this dragon drop. 120-foot long dragon found in Utah. Let go.
Killer hole, descended 80 feet, vast underground cavern, grandest sight ever beheld by man, a petrified reptile, perfect in every detail, 18-inch curved fangs, only perfect specimen of a dragon in existence. I'm going to read a few more of my highlight points from this.
It said only perfect specimen of a dragon in existence? Perfect specimen of a dragon in existence. They were not confused about what they found. They did not say dino. They did not say giant bird. They did not say, Neanderthal. Like, nigga, they said dragon. They said perfect specimen. This is a perfectly preserved dragon. 120 feet long, Manaka. Now, if this dragon is fighting for you, just like your Rottweiler, just like your pit bull, right? Just like your guardian, like a guardian angel, like a guardian Naga. You don't have guardian angels, my Naga. You got guardian dragons. Yeah, the highest order of angel is the six-winged dragon. Isaiah chapter 6, read it. Read it, my Naga. Seraphim, the burning ones. Read it, my Naga. Who are the burning ones? HaWah comes to save David and the tribe in Psalms chapter 18 with fire out of his mouth, smoke out of his nose. But that's battle form for a Naga. You don't need no strap when you got this type of protection. You're taking cities down if you need to. Ain't nobody playing with you and your dragon. You see Game of Thrones, she had like one dragon left. Nobody was still playing with her. You know what I'm saying? At 3 dragons, definitely, everybody gave her 1,000 feet, 1,000 miles. They was out of there. Then they start creeping slowly. How healthy are the dragons? She still got one strong dragon, boss. Nah, I'm going to still give her at least 500 miles. At least 500 miles. Because that dragon take a whole city down by itself. Don't that remind you of Sodom and Gomorrah? 2 angels, no, 2 dragons burnt down the city, my Naga. 2 cities burnt down by 2 dragons, my Naga. Don't that make more sense than 2 men with wings burning? Come on, man. You ain't talking about a man with wings, boss. A child with wings. Fire-breathing dragons, boss. These are the elements. This is the creator. You're talking about fire, you're talking about water, you're talking about air, you're talking about earth.
A line of white barrel hoops standing upright and extending away into the darkness, farther than his one candle could shed its rays. Judge of his astonishment to find on examination that he had discovered the petrified skeleton of an enormous reptile, perfect in every detail, from head to tail. The bones of the head showed plainly that the monster was very well equipped for aggressive warfare. Curved fangs hinged to the upper jaw.
Aggressive warfare is what a Naga needs. Peaceful slavery or dangerous freedom. If you're going to be a peaceful slave, then you're going to die slow. Because the hijacking tends to get rid of you either way. Dangerous freedom is dangerous because, you might take an L. Who knows? It's warfare, but it ain't war you brought on yourself. Unless we're just talking about being out of code, which we did bring it on ourselves. But at this point, you want to save your children. You want to save your loved ones. You want to save yourself. I'm not talking mythos. I'm not talking mythological. I'm not talking about extinct. I'm saying, where do you think the dragons went? Where did Godzilla go in the movie? He went in a vortex in Antarctica, literally. It popped out in like Mexico or something, man. He was taking vortexes. Prester John was hitting vortexes. They popping in and out of the ice rings. Second ring, third ring, whatever. You got the abyss of waters, which he about to get this drop that's gonna blow your mind. It's gonna be mind blasting and noodle baking, my night. And they're gonna be in a cavern like 3,000 feet below the mountains and find the most magnificent river. And they're gonna surf that wave, get on that river, and they're gonna tell you what he finds. Water is under every single mountain range. Every one. This is what they're saying. This is what their records are telling us. Right now they're telling us about this monster, or Dracan.
18 inches long, lay in place in what was once a huge mouth, which could easily open 4 feet. Judging from the articulation, the monster lay in a nearly straight line. Mr. Handy found upon pacing it off that it measured upwards of 120 feet. About 50 feet from the head lay a number of bones that appeared to belong to the skeleton, and which Mr. Hardy concluded were the wings.
Bang! 50 feet ahead, they found the wings. Because it was a little detached, obviously. Because it's been a while. And he said he can easily open his mouth 4 feet. That's easily. So imagine stretching. He could probably open it on Shaquille O'Neal. You know what I'm saying? It's over 7 feet, 8, 9 feet if you wanted to. So that's way different than that picture they're giving us of the Dracorexes. Right? This is a magnanimous, reptile. This is a magnanimous monster. This is a big-ass dragon. It's a big-ass dragon.
Further examination disclosed the presence of legs, though only one of these was in good condition. Judge Watson, who has read much on prehistoric mammalian fossils, states that this is probably the only perfect specimen of a dragon in existence.
Bang.
Now, just like the megafauna, the fossil records, the terrible lizards, the kind of dinosaur lie that I've been talking about, these time frames being far closer, that man not only walked with dinosaur, but befriended them in many cases.
Dragons.
Or was at war with them.
Dragons.
There are illustrations of dinosaurs found in the Amazon, and Peru, and Chile,
Dragons.
in Mesoamerica, and North America. On some maps, Northern America, Canada, Northern American region was known as the land of the Drake.
The Drake, remember the Drake? Land of the Drake? Kapangu? Don't we have that map somewhere? Shout out to one analog, he is popping off, bro. You popping off, man. Oh, man. China, let's see. Kapangu, yeah. Woo-hoo. Come on. Come on. Receipts. This is a fire drake. The land unknown is Florida. It's Florida, bro. You're looking at North America. Then they got Antarctica here, which could just be the tip of South America. Now, which perspective are we looking at? Huh? Is Antarctica, considered? Is it Antarctica just means below, so they could just have considered below Florida as Antarctica at that time. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, you see Nagas, they call them savages and devils. Yeah, the hijack is writing this, right? Because this is a map of America and the way to China as men believed it to be, which an old pilot showed to King Henry the 7th in the year 1500. So the hijack is calling you savages and devils and, the land of the fire dragon. We got tigers over here. We got China and Florida. So, you got India. Here's Ptolemy's India. So when Ptolemy's talking to India, he's talking about North America, boss. This is the map shown to King Henry VII in 1500s. This is the map of America. This is the map of America. The island full of demons. What's a demon to them? An adversary. You are the adversary. Here's Atlantis in the middle where the Atlantic Ocean would be, right? Oh boy. There's a lot going on this. There's a lot to unpack. It's a lot to unpack. But you do see that China, the land of the Khan, or the American? No, American. The Khan means priest in Hebrew. The Khan is the American in America. This is the map of Monogamy. This is the map of America shown to King Henry VII. So America is China. And this is the weird political connection between America, the U.S., and China today. That's the weird little connection. We always got some Chinese issue, whatever, with political China, right? It's just politics because America is China. So they both got to keep the secret. They both got themselves in the crux. The Chinese is like, should we reveal that this ain't really China? And the Americans are like, should we reveal that this is China? Shit, they're going to realize who the real Chinese is. That's why they call them the Oriental, boss. Love the Ty Bazaar and the Battle Family, Prester John, Legend and Sources, Cake and Brewer. That's why they call them the Oriental. Who, boss? El Prester John. This is the legend of Sources of Prester John, compiled by Keegan Brewer, Crusade text number 27. He's holding the Tau. The Hebrew Tau is the mark, the sign, the covenant. Yeah, Prester Red, Ethiopia. That just means burnt face or fiery looking. So the land of fiery looking people is the land of the fire dragon. Bang. Is the what? The mysterious cities of gold. We coming in hot. I'll be back. We'll be back. What they call them, the mysterious. Let's get to the intro. Oh, there we go. The story of the mysterious Oriental leader, Prester John. Ping, pong. Look out for Prester John. 129th installment of the Prester John series. Right here at 432 The Drop Radio. Don't miss it, man. Don't miss out. Click the playlist. We got them all listed for you. HaWah. The story of the mysterious Oriental, because this Naga is mysteriously in China. He is the Khan. Columbus is trying to get this letter, to China. Yeah, he's coming to America. He gets lost in India. Yeah, Monaga, this is Ptolemy's India, which is why you're called the Indians. Indios just means in God or in HaWah, people of HaWah, Just like Ethiopia, generic terms, dark-skinned people, burnt face, fiery looking. Cathay means pure land. Pure land is promised land, which is why Prester John is the Khan. And Genghis Khan stole the Khan, fought Prester John, took the Khan, took the title David, took the title Prester, which means priest, and John, which means king. So he took the John and the Khan, the priest king. Wrap your noodle around that. Because this is a map of America. But it's also China. And it's also the land of the fiery dragon.
in the Amazon and Peru and Chile in Mesoamerica and North America on some maps. Northern America, Canada, North American region was known as the land of the Drake.
Bang.
And as I was stating with those same thing, what goes hand in hand with it in the 1800s? Well, the Smithsonian Institution has been informed of the find, and we expect to have a representative here in a few days. Mr. Hardy refused one offer of $20,000 for his find and states that nothing short of $50,000 will purchase it. He has been trying to keep the discovery a secret in order to prepare for the rush that is sure to follow his announcement. But we are here to write up the news, and our readers may look for more disclosures as the cavern is further explored. Well, let me tell you what, that Smithsonian man got there, and he got his $50,000, I guarantee you. In some of my previous videos for new listeners out there, I've done videos on these giant reptiles and giant mammals, giant mammals that live in the caves of Alaska, that are beyond belief, being like that they're out of a movie. In fact, I've gone as far as to state that a lot of these kind of ideas of these movies have been based on these historical records, and this is no different. But yeah, so they were paying up millions of dollars bounties for these kind of curiosities, so to say, millions of dollars. Okay, and they had the big game hunters from all around the world traveling to Alaska, the Congo, South America, hunting these few remaining animals that survived this kind of changeover event from these different epochs, the kind of stragglers, so to say. But that's just one. We'll continue on. I want to read a few about cities. Extraordinary discoveries in Utah, Kansas Territory, 1855. The most astonishing discoveries. Ruins of a large city similar to Petra, 40 miles long, 25 miles in width. Ruins of towns and villages. Walls 3 or 4 stories high. Cedar joists. Every building a fortification, the strongest imaginable.
Wow.
Prehistoric cave, Arkansas, 1913. Now, again, when I state these, that's the publication that the paper's in. But when I'm reading these from my episode on the Utah Anomalous America. So again, if you're new to my material, check out my Anomalous America series.
For sure.
If you like this kind of stuff, you'll love those episodes.
For sure.
Walls covered, so this is a cave. This is a cave in Utah. Walls covered with pictures and hieroglyphics appear to be prehistoric. A mammoth cave rivaling the caves of Kentucky. Front chamber 75 by 150 yards, 41 feet high.
I keep hearing this Kentucky talk, man. We're talking about the Tecumseh and the Ishmaelites migrating into Kentucky. The Kentuckians are responsible for the killing of Tecumseh in the Battle of Thames, Thames, near Ontario, Canada, or Canada. These Kentuckians, man, and then we hear about these caves. Research the Kentucky caves, man. Do your homework, man. Love the J, man. Do your homework on these Kentucky caves and why they was probably migrating there. What was really in the Subterranean popping off in the 1800s and 1900s and 1700s. And it's Kentucky. Let's get a little more. And then I'm actually getting a piece from the top when he's going into the story of this exploration into like 3,000 feet beneath the Colorado Rockies. It's pretty phenomenal. Let's get a little bit more.
All right. Now remember, all throughout the Utah area, they're finding caves like this. They're finding ruins of ancient cities.
Utah.
And these aren't just like Pueblo cities, okay? Some of these are stone-hewn, massive buildings. Massive. In fact, the largest buildings ever found, ancient, quote, ancient buildings, were found here in Utah, Colorado.
Wow. So in the Four Corners are the largest buildings ever found. We're talking subterranean. And, on the surface, you know what I'm saying? So what was here is what you got to ask is, if Utah is Judah, then you're talking Judah. You ain't talking Native American, boss. That's when you're getting out of this It's just words and these meanings. You gotta get out this spell. We're not claiming to be Native Americans per se. We're talking about being the ancient ones. The answers that you can't answer are answered through our understanding of us, of our track record, of our pedigree. We're talking about the code. We're talking the root of the tree, the foundation. You don't have no life without it. The hijack don't got no life without us being here, us being created, us laying the energetic patterns out, even the ones they hijack. The platonic solids, man. Love to the Templar. Which is all MHOE, which is all HaWah, which is all the wave. The wave is real, man. You're talking about caves rivaling the caves of Kentucky. 41 feet high.
Colorado, New Mexico. And for sake of time, I'm not going to read this whole article.
And one more thing. Remember we talked about the cave systems being the roots of the giant trees? Remember, if the trees were this, mammoth, whatever you want to call it, if the trees were this enormous, then how large are the root systems of these trees? They never uprooted the tree. They just, or the creator just allowed it to be severed. It's like cutting your hair. It's going to grow back in the right time with the right oxygen, with the right ether, with the right water, frequency, vibration. So these giant caves are connected to the roots of the giant trees, which is why they're finding water when they go into them. At the lowest levels, it's water, it's water, it's water. The water from the subterranean, right? And not quite bad. Zom dropped this great drop a while back that we still gotta get into subterranean river systems, man. Let's get it.
I will leave a link to a few of my Anomalous America episodes in the comments or in the description, so you can follow up if you want more information. Here we talk about the name Ohio. It was an Indian word derived from the speech of an Aboriginal tribe, but the word Utah is of Egyptian origin. It belongs to hieroglyphic characters of ancient speech. It
signifies the eye sacred in the name of Osiris, sun, source of life. This is the Egyptian Atlantis hijack. I'd love to one analog, but we stay out the mind of a hijack. We don't have to look from the Atlantis perspective. Udall is Judah. And we don't even got to look from a biblical perspective. We can just look at etymologies, because you talking dragon balls, and we talking about seeing clearly. Okay. So we got to see clearly about this word, Utah, right? Look, I'm just putting in Utah in an online etymology dictionary. I'm not coming with the Hebrew perspective or twist. I'm just looking at the word, the definition of it. So we don't have to go into the mind of a hijack with some Egyptian saying, Eye of Osiris, Utah. What? We're talking Utah. Why not? Why do we got to jump to Egypt on this thing? We know we in ancient Egypt. We also in ancient Israel. We're also in ancient China. And so choose your, perspective. One is not without the other. The Egyptians will see this as Egypt, and they'll connect the words, the phonetics, the philologies to their symbols. You could look at it through the Hebrew and connect it through the Hebrew. You could look at it just with the basic etymology and say, okay, U.S. territory 1850 from Spanish Utah. Got you, boss. So let's just trace the word so we don't get hijacked. Utah from the YUTA. So before it got to English, you're talking YUTA. All right, cool. We didn't get to Egypt yet. It's all good. Name of the indigenous Uto-Aztecan people. We're talking indigenous cons. We ain't talking Egypt, but we are talking Egypt if we know that we're in Egypt. You know what I mean? Perhaps from the Western Apache Athabascan Utah. Whoa. Which means high. Utah. We're talking high. We're talking lofty. In the Hebrew perspective, you're talking about, supplanting, being raised up, you know what I'm saying? Wrestling, you're connected to being the head, not the tail, no matter what you go through. Just like my man who had to wrestle with the dragon, Israel, you know what I'm saying? His name has changed from Jacob to Israel, being able to, wrestle with the frequencies, man, and be triumphant, man. So with Judah, you're talking about being raised high. With Judah. And this is in the Hebrew perspective where the scepter would never depart from the tribe of Judah back to King David, back to Prester John, Jeremiah 30, whom I will raise up unto you. We're talking end of days. High, raised high. So Judah is Judah. Judah ain't got nothing to do with the Atlantis, Egypt perspective, man. And damn sure ain't got nothing to do with Osiris. All they doing is hijacking the high. They just trying to get high. They just trying to get up in this high. They just trying to, get up in this, man, what they call it nowadays, man. All in this drip, man. You know what I'm saying? Now, what else they call it, man? They trying to get up in this, man. It's going to come to me later, man. Not swag. Not cap. It's kind of like when they jock your style. Swagger jack. You know what I mean? Something like that. But it's another word I heard for it, man. Oh, man. It's going to come back to me, man. But you understand, man. They just trying to get flying high with a noggin, man. You know what I mean? They just trying to get up in this mix. I got to think of this word. Yeah, if y'all could think of the word, leave a comment, the word I'm looking for. Man. They just trying to get up in this high, man. They try to get, in this frequency, man. But it's all Cappadocia, man. So, yeah, they talking Osiris, man. Cloud chasing, man. I don't know why I couldn't think of it. They just cloud chasing, man. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. It's all for cloud. Judah, connects to the sacred name of, come on, man. The sun, source of light. No, we're talking high, high, lofty. The head, not the tail. Let's go.
Signifies the eye, sacred in the name of Osiris, the sun, the source of light. Mummies found in Utah, Kentucky, 1894, discovered beneath the ruins of the Cliff Dwellers. 7 mummies. They are not the bodies of the Cliff Dwellers, but of some race that lived before them. Their hair is reddish instead of black. Yeah, they lie below. They lie below. In many of these Anomalous America episodes, I showed that below these kind of Pueblo cultures and these quote, Indian races or Aboriginal cultures of America.
I love how they try to make these things as European looking as possible with this red hair like they're gods. Red hair could be red, ruddy. We got red-headed knockers all the time. They didn't talk about no phenotypes, but the picture, the image they're going to give you is going to look like them. Not like he's doing it, but subconsciously he could be. I don't know if he is, but a lot of them do just feed into it. It makes them feel good. It makes you feel good to think about yourself in history and a place for yourself in history that predates all these other people, and to stamp your race or your tribe somewhere, solidify it, do it. At the end of the day, you're doing it for your tribe. But we got to see, we got to see clearly. You know, you talking these ancient such and suches. You can't put an image on it. You know what I'm saying? Just to brighten up your mood, brighten up your day, man. You got to see clearly, man. If it was red-headed knockers, it was red-headed knockers. No, we know in the days of Atlantis, they had everything. This is my point. As we get into a couple other things, we know that this is Atlantis, boss, right? So you had every shade, every color, every phenotype, all this stuff was being either created here. You could talk about all that, the gene splicing, the splices and dicing. A lot was being created in ancient Egypt, ancient Atlantis, but that doesn't make it natural by law. So any one of these giants can say, hey, I'm from America. I'm indigenous to America. I deserve reparations or whatever the case is. Or I deserve this land like the Canaanite. And you could say, nah, boss, that doesn't mean you were natural to this area. That doesn't mean that this is the land of Canaan by birthright, just because they've settled here, just because they walked into a void and saw a place for themselves. Did the Creator give them a birthright, an inheritance right here? Did Joshua split the lands and divide it unto them? This giant is just as indigenous as many people would claim they are because of their genealogies. It don't make you natural by law here. Just because it happened to happen. Someone created something, and here you are. That don't give you a birthright among the Naga, among the Khans, among the children of Prester John, King David, the house of David. These artifacts you're finding, this Tartarian business, a lot of this connects with the house of Dawid, the house of Solomon, Salipod, with our story. You don't have to weave yourself into this ancient world. Just try to find something that resembles you here. That's desperation. It's almost like you're working against this, man, because it's like you want to carve a place for yourself, so you don't want us to fully wake up. You don't want us to fully pop off, fully claim who we are and what we are deserving of, what we should be expecting as true reparations or as true recompense. You just want to give us a little bit to let us know we ain't from Africa. Nah, man. This is Nagaville. We do it for the Naga, the Negus, the king, the queens, the priests, the code keepers, the Dracons, the Khans. You can't just keep playing with us, because it's good content or sounds hip. Man, this is factual. These are factoids about these dragons. These are factoids about these Khans. It is a fact that these movies and this mythologies is based on reality. So you go and stop playing with us because you know what happens next. When we really fit ourselves into the equation, into the picture, you're worried about being squeezed out. You're always trying to squeeze yourself in. We over here don't know who we are, right? We black, right? Wrong, my Nagas. We the Nagas, man. We the Khans. We fit. We fill the void that no one could fit. But they also can't ignore it. So they got to give you a bit of your story. His story. His story, man. We're going to get back to this, this right quick, man. Just some funny blogging going on at unexplainedmysteries.com. They talking about dragons. For the past year, I've been thinking about this. What do angels do? They watch over humans and guide society. What do Eastern dragons do? They watch over humans and guide society. Like guardians. Think about it. Asians believe that At the center of Earth rests the eternal dragon. What else rests at the near center of Earth? Oh, hell does. Okay. I even heard from many near-death experiences that the said Satan was a dragon. Wasn't Satan once a rogue angel? Lucifer, the rogue angel. If Satan is an angel and a dragon, then other angels are dragons too. The Eastern belief was that dragons were holy beings that watched over humans and guided us, the same thing that dragons do. I believe that the angel image we have is a personification and symbolism rather than actual reality. Now, real angels must be dragons, boss. And go get our series, man, Angels and Dragons. We did a bunch of parts of that, man. So go enjoy that. We got to get back on that because it's all happening. We can see it with a dragonfly perspective. We can see clearly. Now, in the past, we have many pictures and images of dragons all around the world, but no recordings of dragons actually going extinct or a mass killing of dragons. They never died because they weren't mortal creatures. If you're thinking of some of the more evil-looking dragons, I'm not saying that all types of dragons were holy, just certain ones, okay? So where's the cons? Man, somebody else left a great one, man. Let's check this out. Let's get it right here. Shadow Tiger, I shared your same thoughts about the connection between dragons and angels only a few years later, and ever since have been researching this intriguing subject and can say you are right about your conclusions. If you go to those threads mentioned by Frogfish, you will see the connections between dragons and angels. I am just completing a fairly massive book on this subject, which will contain footnotes to all the original sources and photographs of actual artifacts that substantiate the claims I make. It is pointless to argue whether or not God or his angels and dragons are real, but my book does prove, as in the original scriptures themselves, that both the early Christians and the Jews or the Hebrews understood that dragons were a kind of heavenly servant creatures to God or HaWah. This is beyond dispute. The original Hebrew texts prove this, and we see an exact parallel in the other religions of the regions of these same dragons, serving the same functions. Even the greatest theologians of the Catholic Church acknowledge dragons are heavenly creatures in the past, but have changed their views to kowtow to modern sensibilities. But their writings confirming the original church views on dragons have not been destroyed and are accessible, some even on the internet. In most modern times, various Christian denominations have rewritten the Bible, vainly attempting to wipe out all traces of heavenly dragons. But it is a hopeless task because they could not rewrite the original scripture in Hebrew. Plus new archaeological discoveries, including whole books of scripture, which the Catholics tried to destroy. Only add more evidence of the dragons, which curiously appear in virtually every other world culture as well, and rarely as a symbol of evil, but rather power and wisdom. Doesn't Mama in Proverbs 8 say that she is power? Ain't she wisdom? Let's go. Let's go. Just as the ancient Hebrew and Christian scriptures also originally portrayed them. Zeus even said as much. But here again, the scriptures have been perverted. Oh, for sure. Could we talking Zeus? Connecting anything about dragons with Satan. Right, exactly. Revelations, right? Revelations. Yeah, man. It's a good little thread, man. It's a good little thread. I'm digging it. Let's see. Shadow Tiger. It is really only common knowledge to serious biblical scholars who are not brainwashed by religious beliefs to the extent they will ignore what the scriptures actually say. As you will see yourself, there has been a tendency to reinterpret and even rewrite the Bible to suit the taste of each particular religion or cult. You can see this as early as the very beginnings of Christianity with the invention of the evil Satan and imitation of the evil dragon. All right, in Zoroastrianism, not to mention turning all the seraphim, the cherubim, winged dragons to pagan Greco-Roman humanoid angels by the Roman Catholics who were more comfortable with this notion of heavenly creatures. So when they were trying to teach the people that were already afraid of dragons because they've had encounters with dragons, and dragons are their worst enemy, their worst adversary. They don't know what to do with these dragons. They gotta use magic to take down these dragons, and you, Managa, just like you. So they couldn't put dragons all over the place in their Bibles and stuff. So the Greco-Roman flow, they turn it into humanoid angels. But the seraphim and the cherubim are winged dragons, Managa. Isaiah chapter 6. So they had to change the humanoid angels by the Roman Catholics, who were more comfortable with this notion of heavenly creatures. Real angels of the Bible are indistinguishable from the normal young men without exception. There are some accounts of angels riding dragons in scriptures, literature not contained in the current Bible. And this may be what St. John also describes in Revelations, as it was dragons in the original Zoroastrian version of the Apocalypse, which he drew his information from. It is amusing how much Christian theology was copied from the Zoroastrian Persians, although one point where they drew the line was the Zoroastrians also claim in their Bible the Hebrew God was actually a dragon. And again, just because the Creator can come down in dragon form or come up in dragon form doesn't mean that that's the only form or the final form, or we're just talking battle time. So they get it twisted and they say the Creator's a dragon. Well, if the Creator appeared as a butterfly, then you're gonna say the Creator's a butterfly. Calm down. The Creator is energy, frequency, and vibration. But we are talking battle time, and ain't no greater weapon in war, Managa, than a fire-breathing dragon. Period. Let's go. I do not go so far to present this idea, but the only physical description of God refers to fire coming out of his mouth and smoke from his nostrils. Remember, Psalms 18, flying on the wings of the wind. And again, when I say the most potent weapon in war is a fire-breathing dragon, you might say, well, they got nuclear such and such. They got sonic weapons. Managa, I'm not just talking about some regular fire-breathing dragon. I'm talking about supersonic Comet of 1812. Visible in the sky for 260 days type of fire-breathing dragon. Man, stop playing with HaWah. I'm talking Leviathan. And to my knowledge, it's very possible Leviathan alone sunk Atlantis. Do your recon on that. Leviathan sinking Atlantis. Do your recon on that. Let's go. Let's go. So okay. They say, the Zoroastrians claim that the Hebrew God was actually a dragon. I do not go so far to present this idea, but the only physical description of God refers to fire coming out of his mouth, smoke from his nostrils in Psalms. But at the time he was riding on a huge winged cherubim dragon. So maybe the description of the fire and smoke was actually referring to the dragon he was riding. But another translation just talks about HaWah, with the wings and all that, you know what I'm saying? So if HaWah got the wings anyway, why has he got to be riding on a dragon? You know what I mean? But these are just translations, Don't get caught up in it. Just know that dragons are real. That's all we say. It would be incorrect to think heavenly dragons are completely beneficent or good. On the contrary, their role largely appears to be one of heavenly punishment and retribution. Well, the dragons can be a curse or a blessing, just like Numbers chapter 20 with Moses. Is it 20 or 21? With Moses, creating the copper dragon. You know what I'm saying? In the book of Numbers. So, the people were crying out to Moses because HaWah was already cursing them with dragons, and they said, "Moses, please get these serpents off of us. Please keep these fiery serpents away." Right? fiery serpents or fire-breathing dragons? Is the serpent a snake or is it a dragon? Do you believe more in snakes falling from the sky on fire or fire-breathing dragons, my guy? Stop playing. You don't see a bunch of mythos of snakes falling on fire. These are fire-breathing dragons. And to stop this curse, HaWah told Moses, hey, go ahead and make your copper dragon whoever it breathes on or bites or stings with the fire. Because in etymology, the bite is the stinging. The stinging of the bite is the fire. Whoever it breathes on gets life. So you needed to be stung or bitten by this serpent or this dragon. You needed the bite from the flame of the copper dragon, not brazen serpent, but copper dragon. You needed the bite from the flame of the copper dragon to get life. It gave you life. So, yeah, there were angels on both sides of the war, right? Good angels, bad. And, we already know that. So there were dragons on both sides. Some dragons chose up. Some dragons didn't. You did. So it would be incorrect to think heavenly dragons are completely beneficent. On the contrary, their role largely appears to be one of heavenly punishment, for sure, and retribution, for sure. We want that retribution. We want that get back. We want that payback. There are many passages of HaWah sending fire to punish humans, like Elijah was popping off in the whirlwind of fire, right? Sometimes from the mouth of HaWah himself or angels, which originally were the seraphim, seraph, fiery, serpents, dragons, seraph. I mean, do you see clearly? Do you see the Torah, the light? They're talking Zoroaster. We're just talking light. Without the light, you don't see clearly. Without your dragon balls, visible, clear. How do you get something dark out of this? How do you get the devil out of this? Oh, I forgot. The devil, or their Satan, is from the Hebrew Satan, adversary. So if you were the adversary of them, then you are the devil. Which is how they start labeling you. Devils. Because you worship the creator, the great power, and not their Zeus. You don't worship Zeus, you're the devil. You're the savage man. But this leads to pure land. How do you go through savage men to get to the pure land? Now, these are the priests. Island full of demons, devils. And then there's a dragon. Land of the dragon. So who's the op? Who's the adversary to the dragon? Whoever's invading the dragon's land, the land of the dragon. Who's rocking with the dragon with their gold? They're saying you worshiping the devil. You worshiping the dragon because you're rocking with the dragon so much. This fire dragon ain't. You think this fire dragon is attacking these copper-colored Nagas right here? This dragon ain't attacking the Nagas. Might be attacking the tiger. I don't know. But they just found this over here, apparently. Devils? Nah, man. The adversary. Who's your adversary? The one that plots against you. Which could be you. You could be plotting against yourself. You got to get out your own way. You got to get the robbers out your gate. Sylvanus told Texas. Oh, Seraph. My bad. So when they talk Seraphim, Seraph, or the cherubim, we're talking Isaiah chapter 6, right? Seraph. The burning one. It burned. You're talking fire. Etymologically, flying, fiery, just like the fiery serpent is the fiery seraph, is the fiery flying dragon. Now, the Christians, the late Latin word was taken by early Christians as the name of a class of angels, the fiery flying dragons, because the trickery in the English is that the serpent can be talking about the snake or the dragon. You don't know it's both ways. It's a forked tongue. English is a forked tongue. Like that NASA emblem with the forked tongue is multiple meanings, like white and white, right? Like white and white. WIGHT. Fiery flying serpent could talk about snakes falling from the sky or fiery flying dragons. Either way, Isaiah 6 is talking about these 6-winged dragons. Dragons with these 6 wings. Go dig on it. And we're talking about the burning ones. It's the highest order of angel, right? It's also the meteor. Keep this in mind. It's also the meteor. An angel of the highest order. So if they're singing Holy, Holy in the throne of HaWah in Isaiah 6, they're angels or dragons of the highest order. Got it. Okay. They're also meteors, boss. They're also meteors, and they're also you if you're fierce and violent towards the hijack. If you're fierce and violent towards the invader, male or female, this woman or man is a dragon. Let's just put that out there. Who is Prester John? A shooting meteor? Comet of 1812, meteor of 1812. Tecumseh. Tecumseh's comet. Tecumseh name means shooting star. He who walks across the sky. And during his war in 1811, 1812, the Tecumseh War, just let me know if I'm overdropping. But if I'm not overdropping, say drop. You ain't overdropping. Because the Tecumseh War is popping off at the same time they see Tecumseh's comet, which causes an enormous earthquake. This comet is so bright in the sky, they say it's visible for 260 days straight. I'm gonna get back to this. I'm just ether walking right now. But this thing caused a giant earthquake, man. What they say about the Mississippi. Boatman reported that the Mississippi River ran backwards for several hours. The force of the land upheaval 15 miles south of the New Madrid created Reelfoot Lake, drowned the inhabitants of an Indian village, turned the river again itself to flow backwards, boss. Created 2 waterfalls, boss, in Mississippi. And the Mississippi is the Nile, the Nahal, the great river. It flowed backwards because of this dragon, man. Whoa. And his name means, Tecumseh's name means shooting star. We're talking the comet, which is a meteor. Shooting star, right? Shooting meteor, right? You already got that dragon canoe is dragon. So now you get that Tecumseh's name is also dragon because he's following in the footsteps in the dragon vortex of dragon canoe. Dragon. Seraph. American. Found here are the dragons in the land of dragon, are the Khan. The CAN here is the same Khan here. They found the Khan in China, or Kana. Dodge the vowels. Chen is Khan. The great Khan of Khan. Get it? The Khan of Khan. The land of the dragon. The Khan. Copper colored races. Found here. The dragon. The seraph. The highest order. Angel of the highest order. The burning ones. The fiery flying dragon. Got it. I know small. Gotcha. Whoa. Back to Jonah and the whale. Remember Jonah and the whale? So there are many passages of HaWah sending fire to punish humans. From the mouth of the Creator himself, or angels, which originally were the seraphim, highest order, right? Dragons. The original creature commanded to swallow Jonah was a Tannin, dragon, not a fish or a whale. So they got Jonah and the whale. That was Jonah and the dragon. Now, did the dragon devour Jonah? Or did he give Jonah a blessing? Jonah a Baruch, right? All right. So you got Jonah riding the dragon. Turns into Jonah and the whale. Remember the Tannin and the Tans, right? You got the dragons, and then they turn it into the jackals. The Tannins and the Tannins, all that, right? So we get back, just look it up, man. So they either turn the dragon into a jackal with the Tan versus Tannin. The Tan, the jackal, the Tannin, the dragon, the Tannin. All these are the Hebrew root words. So when they're translating it, sometimes it's being translated as a fish, a whale, or a jackal, or just some beast like Nehemiah flying on the beast. In Nehemiah chapter 2, he's flying on a dragon, just like Jonah had to deal with a dragon, just like HaWah had to deal with his dragon, Leviathan. Every Naga got a dragon. Another seraphim dragon. In some accounts, Uriel swallows Moses up to his legs and then releases him. This part has been edited out the Bible for sure. I never heard of that. But Moses had to deal with a dragon. Dang. But appears in related Hebrew scriptures, also edited out the Bible, but still in the book of Jubilees, which the fact is it was Satan sent to destroy the firstborn of Egypt, presumably leading the rest of the dragons. This is why the blood was placed on the lintels of the Hebrew homes. The dragon would smell the blood and pass over these places, leaving the occupants unharmed. Whoa, that actually makes sense. The actual humanoid angels of the Bible primarily serve as messengers to mankind, for dragons would not be very discreet and too terrifying to humans. But we do know that dragons can assume different forms. So we're talking energy, frequency, vibration, but those are the higher order of angels or dragons that can do that type of, flow. They seem to appear later on the scene than dragons, which one can say is perfectly compatible with evolution and the extant fossil geological record, which is we started this drop with the geological records. We started this with the archaeologists. We started this talking about the Dracorexes. We started here, worked our way back, went into the mythos, talked about some subterranean business, mix it in with a little Tecumseh. All right, that's perfect. So, all right. Again, matter of fact, let's go right. go into the story right quick, and then we'll dismount with the shooting star, the Kumse flow. All right, A-hop to the cons. Let me know if I'm overdropping. It's all happening. I'm gonna belly flop into this article and listen to one of the most thought-provoking and intriguing exploratory stories, subterranean exploratory stories, man. It's very interesting. Love to analog, man. You popping off, man. I appreciate you for allowing us to have this thought-provoking conversation. Drag and Drop 101. Let's go.
Found anything like it. When laid on the deck, it was seen to be about 20 feet long and 2 feet in diameter. It was of some very hard, dark-colored wood, like palm.
Go back. I'm gonna go back.
Last summer, the schooner William Haley of Galveston, trading among the West Indies, was becalmed near the Gulf Stream. The second day, the captain's curiosity was aroused by a strange floating mass, and he ordered the mate to take a boat and examine it. The mate returned towing a log from which the men had cut away the marine growth, which had made it seem at a distance like a sea monster. The captain ordered it to be hoisted to the deck, declaring that in 40 years spent at sea he had never found anything like it. When laid on the deck, it was seen to be about 20 feet long and 2 feet in diameter. It was of some very hard, dark-colored wood, like palm, charred in places and worn and broken, cut and torn as if it had been whirled through torrents and maelstroms for hundreds of years. The ends were pointed, and 5 bands of dark metal, like bronze, were sunk in the wood, and the whole bore evidence of having passed through intense heat. On closer examination, the log was seen to consist of 2 parts, and these bands were to bind it together. The captain had the bands cut off, and in the exact center, fitted into a cavity, was a round stone, 18 inches in diameter. The rest of the wood was solid. The captain, more disappointed at this result than he cared to confess, picked up the stone and was greatly astonished at its lightness. Examining it more closely, he remembered that when a boy on the old New Hampshire farm, he used to find hollow stones with crystals in them, geodes, as he afterward heard them called. This was probably a geode, placed in this strange receptacle for some unknown purpose. He carried it to his cabin and put it into his chest. 2 months later, the old captain returned to his cottage on Galveston Bay and placed among his curiosities the geode he had so strangely found in the Gulf Stream. One day he studied it again, and the sunlight chanced to fall upon a narrow, irregular line. "I declare," said the old man, "it looks like as if this stone had been patched together." He struck it with a hammer, and it fell apart and proved to be filled with small pieces of yellowish-brown wood. The shell of the stone was about an inch thick, studded over inside with thousands of garnet crystals. It had been broken into 3 parts and fastened together again with some sort of cement, which showed plainly on the inside. The old captain poured the pieces of wood on the table. They were perfectly dry and hard. They seemed almost like strips of bamboo, and were numbered and covered with writing made by pricking marks with some sharp instrument like an awl. He found the first piece of wood and began to read, for it was in English. The work of deciphering the tiny dents on the bits of wood soon became the captain's chief occupation. He copied each sentence off in his logbooks as fast as it was made out. 5 or 6 sentences were about all his eyes could stand, with a rest, so that it was a long time before the narrative was at all complete. The narrative runs as follows. The story begins. About September 17th, 1886. I am an American, Thomas Parsons, of Natchez, Maine. I have no living relatives. I write this in a vast, vaulted chamber hewn from the solid granite by some prehistoric race. I have been for months a wanderer in these subterranean spaces, and now I have contrived a way to send my message out to the world that I shall probably never see again. If some miner, tunneling in the Rockies, comes upon a vaulted chamber with heaps of ancient weapons of bronze, bars of gold, and precious stones that no man may number, let him give Christian burial to the poor human bones that lie in this horrible treasure house. He will find all that is left of my mortal name near the great ever-burning lamp under the dome of the central hall. That lamp is fed from some reservoir of natural gas. It was lighted when I came months ago. For all I know, otherwise it has burned there for thousands of years. The entrance to this sub-mountain river is in the Azenbone Mountains, north of the United States line. I was a prospector there for several years, and I heard stories among the older Indians that a river greater than the Columbia had once flowed where the Rocky Mountains now are, that the Great Spirit had piled the mountains over it and buried it deep underground. At last, a medicine man, whose life I had once saved, told me that he knew how to get to the river and took me into a cavern in a deep gorge. Here we lived for a week, exploring by means of pine torches, and at last I found a passage which ran steeply downward. This, the Indian told me, was the path by which his ancestors, who once lived in the middle of the earth, had found their way to the light of day. I think we are about 3,000 feet below the entrance of the cave when we began to hear the sound of roaring waters. The sound increased until we stood by an underground river of whose width and depth we could form no idea. The light of our torches did not even reveal the height of the roof overhead. My guide told me that this was the mother of all rivers of the world. No other person except himself knew of its existence. It flowed from the end of the north to the extreme south. It grew ever warmer and warmer. There was a time when the people lived along its channel, and there were houses and cities of the dead there and many strange things. It was full of fish without eyes, and they were good to eat. If I could help him build a raft, he would float with me down this river. The old story said that one could go upon it for many miles. It ran down a hollow under the mountains. We built and equipped our raft and launched it on the most foolhardy adventure, I do believe, that ever occupied the attention of men. We lit torches and set them in sockets on the raft, and we were well armed. For 2 weeks, we moved down the high archway at a steady rate of only about 3 miles an hour. The average width of the stream was about 500 feet, but at times it widened out to almost twice that. It swarmed with many kinds.
Hey there, I'm Ryan, and today I'm here to talk to you about the...
You just here to hijack us, Ryan. Tell the truth, man. Are you Best Buy? Are you buying the best, man? Let's go.
With many kinds of fish, and they were very easy to secure. The rock walls of the roof seemed to be of solid granite. We were below the latter formation. As nearly as I can calculate, We were 1,000 miles from where our voyage began, and nothing had yet happened to disturb its monotony when we began to find traces of ancient work and workers. An angle in the wall was hewn into a titanic figure. Another point there seemed to be regular windows, and a dwelling was perched far up in the gigantic dome. The Indian told me more of the traditions of his race as we drifted past these things. Quote, "They were very great men who lived here. They had many things. They knew more than the white men. They are all dead now." And I had gathered from his chance remarks that they had left their secrets in their cave dwellings, which would make him the biggest Indian on the continent if he could discover them. Suddenly, we found that the river was flowing much faster, and we failed to check our raft. We went over a waterfall, perhaps 70 feet high, and were thrown on a shelf of rock at the side of the...
They already 3,000 feet subterranean. Can you imagine? Hearing the roaring water, so deep underground, pure water flowing. And then you hit a waterfall, boss. A waterfall underground. You're like, hell no. I did not expect to see a waterfall, boss. I'm already underground, 1,000 feet. And then he gets flung 70 feet over this waterfall. Thousands of feet below the ground. This is one of the greatest exploratory. I told y'all, right? I told y'all. Let's go. Let's see what he finds, boss. And then he's going to bring in Montezuma's treasure, which is very interesting. Let's get it.
Of the river below. I was unhurt, but my companion was so badly injured that he died in a few hours.
Damn.
I repaired the raft after a fashion and continued the voyage, finding it impossible to contrive any way to scale the sides of the waterfall and attempt to return. All our torches were lost, and the attempt to proceed further seemed but the last act of despair.
This dude is underground, thousands of feet, just flew off a waterfall, flowing in the greatest river water he ever seen, eating fish without eyes. And he's like, how the hell am I going to get back to the surface? Hey, being an explorer, it's a tough predicament, man. You got to be willing to be stuck on the ground if necessary. Some say that he tied this story to some log and put it through some stream, and, hoping that it would just pop up somewhere, Let's get it.
A few hours later, I saw a light gleam over the river in a very remarkable way, shining clear across, as if from the headlight of a locomotive high up on the wall. This aroused me somewhat from my stupor and misery. I sat up on the raft and steered it close to the edge of the river to see what wonderful thing had happened. As I came nearer, I saw that an irregular hole was in the wall 1,000 feet above the water, and that the light shone out through it. It was a cheerful thing to look at, and I hung to the granite and shouted, but to no effect. Then I saw a broken place in the wall, a little further down, and let the raft drift along to the base of a broad, thorough, much worn, and broken flight of steps, winding up the cliff that brought me at last to the place of light. A domed hall overlooked the river, hewn out of the rock and having in its center a metal basin with a jet of natural gas. I have had...
So he's in them springs. You don't talk about how hot the water is. You're talking about that volcanic flow, you know what I mean? That's that springs, that's that Yosemite mem sauce, the primary steam flowing up into the primary rock. So now Moshe can hit the rock and get the water fresh from the primary steam. We didn't need the rain precipitation. You know what I mean? That's fresh born water, pure water. And he saw these stairs that were worn out. So whatever this was a well-traveled place, you know, known to those that had to know. And what else did he find?
I had to cut off a part of this metal basin since I have not harmed the inscriptions. There are many gas jets, but in the other chambers I have had to light them. I have lived here for months now, and I have explored all the chambers of the place.
Months.
There is no escape so far as I can see. The river, 20 miles below, plunges down vaster descents, and the water gets so hot that I should be boiled alive if I tried the voyage.
So here's his options. He's been there for months. The river is 20 miles below at this point from where he's at. And he said it plunges into even deeper descents. Goodness gracious. So he's like, I'm not going no deeper. I'm not going no deeper. And then the other streams are so hot because of the hot spring that it's like boiling water. You can't even flow with that. Be boiled alive. That's some tough exploratory predicaments to be on. What y'all think, man? Is this Capper? Or is this one of the greatest exploratory stories you ever heard? Let's get it.
I have discovered a log of tropic wood, like palm, and a geode in which I can send a message to the world of sunlight. Perhaps this will get through the fires and float to the surface somewhere. I am convinced that the river which brought me here flows on into the Gulf of Mexico, and that sooner or later my log will be picked up. Perhaps this river is really the source of the Gulf Stream. I will now write down my discoveries, not in order, but as a whole. My story must be brief, for the scant means of the record will fail me. This place seems to have been approached only by river. It consists of 6 large domed halls connected with a 7th in which the light burns. There.
Just right quick, I don't know if I'm reading ahead or not, but so this is Thomas Parsons. He says, I'm writing this in a vast vaulted chamber hewn from the solid granite by old prehistoric race. I have been for months a wanderer in the subterranean spaces, and now I've contrived a way to send my message out to the world that I should probably never see again. If some miner tunneling in the Rockies comes upon a vaulted chamber with heaps of ancient weapons of bronze. What? So these were warrior knockers. They had bronze weapons, bars of gold, and precious stones that no man may number. Oh, let him give a Christian burial to the poor human bones that is in this horrible storehouse or treasure house, horrible treasure house. So he's in the treasure house, but he's trapped in the treasure house. I think that's how it started, but I just had to get that. Yeah, that's cray. So he found chambers of ancient weapons of bronze and bars of gold and precious stones beneath these rocky mountains. Rivers of water, miles and hundreds of thousands of miles beneath. Let's go.
There are bronze swords, spearheads, and other weapons stored in one chamber. There have been costly fabrics also, but they have perished, and only a few fragments are left. In other halls are many treasures accumulated. I do not attempt to estimate the riches here. Montezuma's lost treasure is said to have been $80 million. but I believe the hidden treasure house of this forgotten race would dwarf to insignificance the riches of the Aztecs and the Peruvians put together. The gold is in great bars, which I cannot lift, or I would have tried to make a golden vessel to carry my story. The silver is in yet more huge blocks, perhaps 5 feet square.
Wow.
Everything here is cyclopean. A granite chest, higher than my head, is full to the brim with rings and precious stones. What surprises me most is that there are diamonds, pearls, and amber among them. What a wildly extended commerce this people must have had before they descended to the subterranean river and hid their treasures here. One hall is especially the hall of pictures and of writing. I spend many hours there. I see the history of this race, their wars, their heroes, their mythology. They are like the Egyptians in many things, but they are not Egyptians. Nevertheless, they have some of the art spirit.
If they're like the Egyptians in many ways, you know you're dealing with knives. Period.
2. Perhaps they lived in the time before Atlantis was overwhelmed. Perhaps they were antediluvians. One thing is certain, they had poets, historians, philosophers in those days. I wish I could write down here a tithe of all the wisdom I had find on the gaily painted walls of these ancients of so many ages. The most wonderful chamber of all is the hall to the north. That is, the chamber of death and silence. When first I entered this hall, I lighted all the gas jets. Around the walls were high cases of drawers, and on the front of each was a portrait. I examined them for hours before I felt any desire to do more. Among them I observed a very beautiful face, that of a young girl just entering womanhood. This wonderful race possessed the highest artistic skill and delicacy of expression. The face of this girl, except that the colors had faded, might have been the admired masterpiece of the Paris salon. I felt a sudden interest in the face, and caught the drawer handles and pulled it out. In the wide, deep space into which I looked lay robed in white, her hands folded, the form of the girl whose picture was on the outside. How beautiful she was! She lay as if only asleep. Then slowly as I looked, the whole figure melted down and faded away to a pile of dust. I closed the shrine and touched no more of them, but I often go and look at the faded paintings and think how lovely the girl was. The paintings on the walls of this mural chamber show that the people had 2 systems of disposing of their dead. The great mass were consigned to the river, but the bodies of those who were famous for beauty, wisdom, or any good quality were preserved by a process of embalming, which they evidently thought would make them endure for ages. There are probably 12,000 separate bodies here, and they represent more than 20 successive generations, if I rightly understand the system of family grouping. If people lived as long as they do now, there was an average of about 15 additions each year to this great Westminster Abbey of the past. From a sort of map painted on one of the walls, I obtained the idea of many a thickly populated communities which used this place as the sepulchre of their chosen few. Evidently, that was before volcanic outbursts made the channel of the river like a cauldron, boiling over endless fires. All along the course are towns marked, groups of rock-hewn rooms on the cliffs, populated lands on the river, promontories from whose sides fountains of light seem to spring. Did thousands of people once live and find happiness in these vast vaults of death? Things must have been very different then from now. They must have had many reservoirs of natural gas. The animal life in the river must have been much more varied. Indeed, there are pictures in the halls of war, as I have named it, that show two things plainly: that there were thousands of caverns extending over hundreds of miles and peopled by animals with which the heroes fought, and that the river was swarming with existence. Moreover, I find everywhere, chief of the symbols of life, in the most sacred places, a food root like a water nut, from which grew white leaves and seeds. There must have been some electric principle involved here by the vast warm lakes of the river, lit with soft light everywhere at certain seasons. For now, I come to the strangest fact of all that I have gathered from the records of this race. These people had two kinds of light. One, they found and lit, that they knew as the lesser god of life. The other, coming from north to south, twice each year, filled for many weeks the whole channel of the river, from depth to dome, making the very water translucent. The water root and its grain ripened and were harvested in the last days of the light. 2 crops a year they gathered and held their days of the feasts of the greater god of life. I have tried to put together all I can of their picture writings and their paintings so as to understand what sort of men and women they were. I confess that I have learned to admire them greatly. They were strong, brave, loving, and beautiful people.
Wow.
I am sorry they are all gone. I never cared half so much about the dead Etruscans or Carthaginians. The earliest chapter in their history, so far as I can discover, is a picture of a line of men and women descending into a cave and a dragon pursuing them.
Whoa.
This seems to point to a former residence on the face of the earth and to some disaster, war, flood, pestilence, or some fierce monster which drove the survivors into the depths of the earth.
Did Leviathan sink Atlantis? It's a fair question, especially with all this independent substantiated recon coming out. The more you unravel, the more drop keeps flowing. We're talking about war, floods, pestilence, sinking of Egypt, sinking of Atlantis, storing all their things in subterranean places, still coming to some level of destruction. Or maybe they ether walked up out of there. Maybe they time stamped up out of that spot. We don't know. Chased by a dragon or chased by Leviathan, I don't know. It's getting real.
For shelter. But all these thoughts are vain and foolish. I have explored the cliffs of the river and the walls of the mighty halls which shelter me. I have attempted to cut a tunnel upward past the waterfall, using the ancient weapons which lie in such numbers on the floor. The bronze wears out too fast, but if I live long enough, something may be done. I will close my record and launch it down the river. Then I will try to cut my way out to sunlight. Here the story closed. Someday, perhaps an old man, white-haired and pale as one from the lowest dungeon of a Bastille, will climb slowly out of some canyon of the Rockies to tell the world more about his discovery of a lost race. I mean, just an absolutely astounding article. And, out of context, or so to say, without much of a background, at least from my perspective, this is pure fantasy, right? But for me, let's just go a little. That's too small. Too small. But for me, as I get further along through this, and especially presenting Anomalous America and kind of putting all this out there and creating a kind of narrative, it just rings more and more true. And I've read this dozens of times, but having read it out loud and recording it is just like, makes my hair stand up. It corroborates so many things. I've talked a lot about the subterranean realms. I've talked a lot about dragons, giant reptiles, the terrible lizards, the previous ages of giants, men and animal alike. The idea of man warring with beast. He mentions the Carthaginians, he mentions, the Phoenicians, he mentions the Atlanteans, and that, and the antediluvians, and it just, and then there's just so much here.
Hold up, I'm gonna get a quick belly flop into another one of his drops since we've been, dropping on the dragons. See how we can, put these and parallel these things together. Now, this other one has to do with the flat drop, flat Earth type of expeditions, and let's dig on it.
And he render his crew for an additional month of voyage. After sailing through the sea of ice, the explorer strikes land. There is a great flat beach of ice-covered country over which the glacier breaks. It is of varying depth, and to the south of it rises a wall of ice. This wall is the stumbling block to all explorers. None have ever scaled it. The existence of this great ice barrier is attributed by Borgolovic and others who have gone there to the action of the water. The ice waves pass over the beach and beat against the ready formed wall of ice and keep it ever firm and solid, a barrier that which is within. It is to scale this wall that the new explorations are to take place. Captain Ross in 1840 climbed the mast of his ship and discovered 2 smoking volcanoes on the other side of this ice wall. He called them Terror and Erebus after his ships. He thought he could detect the sight of warm air rising, the difference in the atmosphere being visible. All Antarctic explorers say that there may be a warm polar circle within this wall of ice. They bring back pieces of petrified bark, and they find curious bones of animals. Their reasoning is that a quiet, peaceful people dwell within this circle and enjoy a superbulous atmosphere hemmed in by the wall of ice.
Peaceful people.
The supposition is no more crazy than the knowledge that we dwell comfortable here within a wall of ice at either pole of our world. They are surrounded by the same wall of ice. Isn't that funny that they're both describing 2 circular walls, the one that encapsulates us and one that encapsulates this tropical race of dark-skinned people?
Whoa.
If a passage were discovered, it would
Where did that come from? I just belly flopped, so apparently we missed some dark-skinned people drop. You got the link, you can get back to it, but we might have to get back. Tropical, let's hear that again. Monaga, these are their records, man. So according to their exploration, see, now we just got astronauts. Back then we had explorers. They don't want us to talk about exploring more land, terror this and terror that. Nah, they don't want us to go to Tarzant. Nah. They want us to go to Mars, the moon, Pluto. They've replaced explorers with astronauts. But what did these explorers expect to find? A tropical race of dark-skinned people? What? So there are more Nagas across the planet, just like we said. We've been saying, man, what if there's other Nagas? And they just said the further you go, they're in this beyond the South Pole. They said they got volcanoes and warm climate and a tropical race of darkies, man.
a superbulous atmosphere hemmed in by the wall of ice. The supposition is no more crazy than the knowledge that we dwell comfortable here within a wall of ice at either pole of our world. They are surrounded by the same wall of ice. Isn't that funny that they're both describing two circular walls, the one that encapsulates us and one that encapsulates this tropical race of dark-skinned people?
I can't make this stuff up. So when you talk Antarctica and all this stuff, the reason why they created NASA after the 1940s, Admiral Byrd, all the new Americas he found, because they were finding more dark-skinned people. And they said, oh no, boss, they cannot be connected. They must think they're in another world, another planet. But they found these dark-skinned people in America, and they said, oh, this is a whole nother world. We'll call it the New World. And they kept going past Antarctica, and they said, this is another world, tropical, dark-skinned people.
If a passage were discovered, it would unite the pole world with ours. The South Pole is supposed to be depressed, and Captain Sims, who devoted much time and attention to its existence, had the honor of having...
Hold up, man. He just said if passage was discovered, it would unite the old world or something with ours. Yeah, so they had to create NASA. So they don't want no uniting. They don't want no passage. Can you imagine if they united the polar world? That's like Game of Thrones, right?
having it named Sims Hole after him. Now, when they were doing like altitude measurements of this region, they found that the highest points in Antarctica were taller than Everest. And strengthening, as they're mentioning here, the two bowls idea. A strange ship is being built for the voyage. It is fitted out with small boats of all descriptions. One is a sailing vessel on wheels, which will glide over the frozen beach, carrying the explorers to the wall of ice beyond. This ship is an ironclad to meet the glaciers, but the boat, on runners, is for that awful slippery surface upon which no explorer has dared to set foot. The current of frozen water washing over it would take any man off his feet. But with the boat on runners and sails, the ironclads and the stout will of the explorers of 97 will get there and find the wonderful land of palms that will be a mecca for those who want to get away from their present sphere.
What? Do y'all see the word magic? Y'all see the trickery? For those that want to get away from their present sphere for a vacation in another, present sphere is a world, right? Sphere is supposed to be the ball you're on, right? Spherical world you're spinning, but they're going straight, right? They found you in the new world, right? So you want to get out of this sphere and go to another sphere, which is just more flat land, because a plane is a planet, and the plane means flat, spread out. You take a plane, airplane, man. Plane, flat, spread out. It's not flying around a ball. The plane with the words in your face, connecting the spherical world with these worlds that they're finding going straight, boss, on the flat plane. Letting you know that when they talk new world and spheres, they're still talking flat, spread out. Let me get back right quick, man, because I think we missed something about these darkies, man. Let's see, but let's get it, I'm just going to jump right here and see what we got.
Way ahead. The number of persons who have tried to reach the South Pole is limited. This, the celebrated Belgian professor Egensberg accounted for in a strange, though rational way. He said the mention of the South Pole recalled the heat of the tropics, and projectors could not become interested in it.
The mention of the South Pole was called the heat of the tropics. The heat of the tropics. And when they talked Antarctica, even in that map we showed with the Kapangu and the China, and, they say, oh, these devils, and even when they talk Terra Fuego, right, they're talking hot lands, man. This is more validation. We're talking hot lands. But whether we're talking South America or beyond the pole, in this case, beyond Antarctica, they're finding more volcanic activity, more hot lands, and more.
They thought of it as a sweltering hot place peopled by dark-skinned nations.
Body bag for the illusion. Can y'all leave a comment and say body bag for the illusion? There are more Nagas across the poles. If there are more dark-skinned people here, there are more dark-skinned people the further they get. We had another drop that said the colder it got, the darker the people got. Just showing that was complete falsehood to say, oh, the Eskimos must be light because they are, way in Antarctic or the Arctic because they're away from the sun, whatever you want to call it. Nah, man. A nigga gonna be a nigga no matter where the nigga is. And the further they was getting, the darker the people were getting. And that was perplexing to them. So these Eskimos were dark-skinned people. So-called dark, right? Yep. And yep. Let's hear it again for the dismount. For the dismount.
Is limited. This, the celebrated Belgian professor Egensberg accounted for in a strange, though rational way. He said the mention of the South Pole recalled the heat of the tropics, and projectors could not become interested in it. They thought of it as a sweltering hot place peopled by dark-skinned nations, and they reasoned that if discovered, little good could come from it.
Whoa.
Now, don't you think that?
Whoa. Whoa. The more Nagas they found, they said little is going to come from us discovering that. Because these Nagas already are a handful that we got to deal with here. We go jamming them up, it's going to be a whole nother problem. And we don't want these Nagas teaming up with these Nagas. What'd he say?
In a strange, though rational way. He said the mention of the South Pole recalled the heat of the tropics, and projectors could not become interested in it. They thought of it as a sweltering hot place peopled by dark-skinned nations, and they reasoned that if discovered, little good could come from it.
Wow.
Now, don't you think that's interesting?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's interesting. That they avoided even exploring the region because they thought it was a area populated by dark-skinned people and had the heat of the tropics. This is what.
I'm out of here, bro. I'm out of here. They didn't want to explore because it had more darkies, man.
That they avoided even exploring the region because they thought it was a area populated by dark-skinned people and had the heat of the tropics.
This is the South Pole. This is Antarctica. You got the drop, man. This is the 1897 expedition beyond the Antarctic ice wall. Expect to find peaceful people. Why didn't he say dark-skinned people? Man, come on, archivists. You didn't want to promote the darkies that they was finding? Peaceful dark-skinned people should be in your title, boss. Love to you, man, but come on, man. This is a big deal. If it said peaceful white people, that sure would be in your title. All right, I'm playing, but I'm serious at the same time. All right, I'm serious, man. All right. All right, man, we out of here. Hey, out to all the Nagas leaving comments. We are talking comments on the way out. Shooting stars. Cometas, dragons on the wall. The same dragons that you play with your dragons in the land of the Prester John. Look out for Prester John 1.89. We just having fun, man. Y'all been popping off, man. Y'all been popping off. We've been talking waves and particles, timestamps, quantum leaps. God. Hey, man, y'all, represent, man. Y'all still impressed at 128. That's what's up. Yeah, Lost Boys. I know what you mean. I love to Ipamoelba 936. Quiet Storm, what it do? Long time, big out. What it do, big? What they do? Star Lion. Recently been having Red Dragon dreams, so I had to tap into your channel again because you reignited my childhood connection with your AIP Star Lion. So freaking cool. I'm with you, Ashley Witz. Man, ask me a certain way. Dizzle, what it do? When you read Deuteronomy 30, verse 3 through 4, now we can see our people being beyond the poles. Could somebody leave a comment and say, Dizzle Fitty, you got the drop? That's my real one right there. He deserved to know. Antarctica with no ice. Some of our people had to dip and go beyond them lands when the ice came, just like Greenland. People being beyond the poles and these other lands under the heavens scattered. And we just got dark-skinned people, man. Right? They didn't even want to explore this drop, Dizzle, because it was more darkies that was running into, man. Is it getting clear? Are you seeing clearly?
Rational way. He said the mention of the South Pole recalled the heat of the tropics, and projectors could not become interested in it. They thought of it as a sweltering hot place peopled by dark-skinned nations, and they reasoned that if discovered, little good could come from it. Now, don't you think that's interesting? I think that's interesting. You know, that they avoided even exploring the region because they thought it was a area populated by dark-skinned people and had the heat of the tropics. This is what they thought.
This is 1897, and like over 100 and something years ago. Imagine these nights now. That's why I said getting cold, because that's like a walkie-talkie. That's the frequency they can't tap into. And when we in cold and they in cold, we feel it and things happen, man. Dragons are popping off. Woo! Make sure you tell Dizzle Fitty, Dizzle, you got the drop. For real, for real. Ooh. Okay. Having a wonderful learning, man. This is so deep and I feel so connected to the truth you are saying about everything. I followed you for a long time. Love this Sam Mills, 851. And he's in 2016. What I'm going to do when I get, just a moment to do it, is kind of archive like as much as I can. Like, here's 2016 drop, here's 2017 drop, 18, you know what I mean? Because it's hard to find it on your own sometimes. YouTube makes it harder to find the oldest content, you know what I mean? And it's good to really surf the wave to see how we got here in 2023. AI to the wave surfers, the balcony surfers, and Drop Nation from the tippity tip. Kaka, this Fitty got the drop. Mama T got the drop. Okay, totally not related, but I just heard this on another channel. It's not real hilarious. Oh, okay. Mama T popping off. Yeah, she on her, she on her recon. You better be tapped into it, man, so you can tap into the work of Mama T. And love to Mama T. A lot of these PDFs that I still got, even when they hijacked her website, I got because Mama T really put a lot of work into making PDF for us, man. So, hi, Mama T. And keep popping off. She's having a hilarious moment, man. Sam Miles, Stephen Martinez, man. When he was 13, he said, I had a dream I was being chased across these sands. And when I went to look back to see what was chasing me, it was a lion. I tripped on a rock, fell off a cliff. And when I looked up at the top, the lion had followed me. His claws were an inch from my face before I hit the ground. When I hit, I dropped onto my bed from 6 inches and had cold sweats like crazy. Confirmation. Whoa. He's confirming something major, man. And I'm glad we can do all this connecting, man. Like, I'm amazed, man, by the connectivity. I see y'all popping off, especially talking about this time, how time don't exist and how keeping the code today can still affect your ancestors, because your ancestors are you, still your same wave pattern at a different coordinate, right? With the same IP address. Like, you could have your laptop, all these Look at all these tabs, right? But the tabs are still there. The tabs are still active, even if I'm not observing them. But when I'm not observing them, they're all happening, right? But when I do observe, I collapse the tabs. I collapse the wave pattern on one particular website, one particular coordinate. But we think we're just this website. We're just this coordinate. You know what I'm saying? When all the tabs are still open, and you're going to call this ancient times. You know, this tab to you is 1812, 1700s. This tab is a long time ago to you. But it's still happening. See what I'm saying? It's still here. Love to y'all, man. One of your best drives. I come back to this one all the time, man. Love to illuminate crowd. So Inception was not just a movie. Straight up. Syria. Alright, man. All my nuggets, man. Prester John, what it do? Tribe Up, Spiral Up, MHOE, man. Most high over everything. I just appreciate all your comments, man. They keep coming in. When we talk comments, man, we are just talking cometas. Because a dragon is a shooting meteor. And the meteor is a comet. Yep. For the dismile. A meteor is a comet. Dragon is a meteor. They call serpent, snake or dragon. Meteor or comet or dragon. And it's just crazy, man, that the Doomsday's comet, this whole 1811, 1812, this earthquake, the Mississippi running backwards, all this formed by a comet, or we're just talking about this dragon frequency that's popping off. You've been connecting with your Dracons a long time. You've been playing with the dragons in the land of the mysterious oriental Prester John. Who they calling the oriental boss. Not the swan. They've turned us against ourselves by turning us against our dragons. Shout out to Sydney, Australia, man. I mean, this is substantiating recap. One of their images of the Preston. It looks like Bubba, you know. Looks like Uncle Bubba right there, man. That's Bedflop. Every Naga got a dragon because you are the guardian. Guardian is you, it's in you, it runs through you. The function, the power. So the code and the frequency comes hand in hand with your rise and hijack destruction. So who's going to win the race? Are they going to be able to destroy us before we wake up? Can they take the light out of our eyes, like we read in the Virginia House of Delegates with Henry Brown, governor, talking about we have destroyed, done everything we can to take the light out of the slaves' eyes. If we can only extinguish the light from hitting their minds, then we would be safe. The word about being safe, boss. They're afraid at the end of the day. Feel like if you have full power, they feel like you don't really want them here, which naturally will be true, based on their actions, especially. They feel like if we connect with the Dracan, they will be normal. If we connect with ourselves, they will be normal. We're talking about stones in the land of Prester John. The second stone is consecrated such that if any hunter advancing through the forest drags this stone behind him, tied with dragon sinews. Dragons, right? Accordingly, all beasts, great and small, bears, lions, stags, roe deer, rabbits, foxes, wolves, and other beasts, stopping straight away, follow that hunter wherever he goes, nor are they able to separate themselves from him for as long as he wishes to lead them. So if he smells that energy, you know what I'm saying, coming from that dragon, it's like in some type of trance. It just follows, you know. It's whatever you want. Such is the virtue of the stone's consecration. And then whoever wants any of those beasts may catch them without hindrance. Nor is it a strange thing, because the animals cannot defend themselves or go anywhere. Truly, the stone is taken in and freed from the dragons, sinews, and concealed in the pocket. The beasts go back wherever they wish. Yep. Our dragon is just mythology. Nor can it be extinguished anyway unless the stone is sprinkled with the hot blood of a dragon. In fact, when it pleases our majesty to make such a fire, we have lions and dragons prepared, by whose blood the fire is indeed kindled and extinguished. Of course, we burn up our enemies with such a fire, if any ever appear to us. So they were using it as a weapon against their enemy. You know, goes into the Amazon queens, man. Residence is an island that extends 1,000 miles in every direction. Almost sounds like the world's beyond the poles. And it's surrounded on all sides by a river that has neither beginning nor end, kind of like the river we just were talking about, the Subterranean, like a ring without a gemstone. Whoa. I'm just belly flopping. These are, sources throughout history in the 1600s, 1700s, 1800s, discussing the land of Prester, man. They had all types of stuff, all type of things that would be called the logical today, mythos today. Let's go back a little bit. San Benyon River, River of Stones. Cavern of Dragons. They got the Fountain of Youth flow. These men who live in heavenly nourishment each live 500 years. Then they get back in that fountain, drinking 3 times from a certain fountain which flows out towards the base of a certain tree standing. So the fountain is connected to a tree. The water, namely the aforesaid island. We talking America, Managa. Mm. Yeah, they do a lot of connecting this with the Hebrews, connecting it with the tribes, with ThaWaDa. In fact, this manna tastes in their mouths the same as it tasted in the mouths of the sons of Israel on their departure from Egypt. So this land of Prester John got the manna, just like they had in Israel. That's amazing. Let's get back to the Cavern of Dragons for the dismount, because that's my favorite part. Okay. Shabbat Shalom, HALAL HaWah. Also, there is towards the south in that region, in a certain place of ours at which the world ends. Right now, we're talking about world beyond the poles. Let's get it. Where the world ends, where there's darkies, right? Dark-skinned people, right? Which is called the Cavern of Dragons. It is long and wide, excessively difficult, and most severe in severity, and difficult with the deepness and depth. We're talking about deep caverns, just like old boy was in, right? That is most deep and most cavernly, which again are just the roots of the ancient trees, are the caverns. They're just the root system of the giant tree, is the cave, full of secret places. They're just living in giant trees, man, underground or above. Indeed, in this place, there are infinite thousands of dragons, terrible dragons, which the residents of those surrounding provinces guard with the greatest diligence, lest any wizards from India or elsewhere are able to steal one of those dragons. For in fact, the princes of the Indians are accustomed to have dragons at weddings and at other banquets of theirs, and without dragons, they do not consider the banquet to be complete, Mana. And just as cattle and mule herders are accustomed to humble and humanize the horses young, to teach them and tame them, and to call them out by their own names, placing bridle and saddle on them, to ride them, I said to ride them anywhere they wish, so too these men who have custody and command of the dragons, the dragon commanders, humble the same dragons by their incantations and magic or frequency, humanize and teach them, subdue them and call them by their own names, place bridle and saddle on these dragons, and ride these dragons whenever and wherever they wish, which takes us to Nehemiah 2. He's popping off, looking down on the city, flying on the beast. Every year, these dragon peoples release to our magnificence for tribute 100 men, dragon masters. And 100 dragons humanized in this way, which are like cows amongst these men. And when the men play with them, admirably by leading them here and there by the head and tail, the dragons are like dogs. That's how they play with the dragons. It's like playing with their dog. Truly, these men were the dragons of our couriers. Truly, these men with their dragons are our couriers. When it pleases our clemency, desiring to know all the news from every part of the earth, wherever they wanted to get news from, Antarctica, beyond the second ice ring, they send the dragons. They can use the vortexes, the water, whatever. They can get the drop. They can spread the news that Prester is sending out. Everyone got the letter of Prester John. It was translated in over 100 languages. Yeah. It said 1165. All the nations got the word from the Prester before the invasion of Genghis Khan. These men with their dragons are our couriers, where it pleases our clemency, desiring to know all the news from every part. We send them with these flying dragons, flying through the air, through every climate of the world, boss. Every climate, boss. The whole world gets to know these dragons, and that's why the dragons are in the mythos of every nation in the world. Dragons are real. They're not mythologies. And they are very real in the land of Prester John, where they play with their dragons admirably by leading them here and there by the head and the tail. Halal HaWah, belly flop, greatest dismount of all time. Let's see where we belly flop, man. I just jumped into it. Let's see. We belly flop into the late 1240s. Simon of St. Quentin, Historia Tartarorum. Sounds like some tartary drop. We're just talking about David. David in the 1200s, boss. Check your timelines. They push time back, in some cases, over 1800 years. Anatoly Flamenco. Scaliger Batavius and jammed us up. King David wasn't in no BC. The King David was popping off in the 1200s, my night. And they've just found you a couple hundred years after that. This the land of Dawid. This the house of David. So when you search for HaWah and King David, you are starting to see clearly. That in the year 1202, according to some, the Tartars, after killing their own lord, departed to destroy peoples. Indeed, these men lived up to their own, lived up till then in their own name, their own land named Tartary, which is next to India. Remember Ptolemy's India, right? Full of gold spices. Queen Sheba came with the golden spices, right? This is India. She's already an American rolling around with her spices. So the aqua, the dragon, is already popping off with her spices. When she rolls up on Salima. So this is happening in 1202 in America, which they later called Tartaria, right? Indeed, these men lived up to till then in their own land, namely Tartaria, which is next to India, and they conspired against their Lord King David. This is Khan against King David, which is really like Moab against Israel when you really break it down. Because it's the same violation, the same more and more war happening in different timestamps, right? Namely the son of once Lord and Emperor of India, Prester John. Now you see why we have this comparison with King David and Prester John, and why you got to understand that King David is a priest king, personally anointed by the Creator. And why Psalms 89 got the covenant of peace and the covenant of Shalom with David. And the house of David will rise again. Because it was just right here popping off when they invaded it. In this greater India superior, King David, which they say namely the son of Prester John. Well, Prester John's son is David, right? Remember David Salsland? And he's going to war. He's the one that really went head up with Genghis Khan. When they say they killed him, they're talking about the son of the Prester. Accordingly, before this, from ancient times, Tartary was subject to the king of India, India Superior, and up till that time calmly and peacefully paid him the tribute that was due. So Genghis Khan and them were paying tribute, right? Moab, the Sultan, and them were paying tribute, right? When the aforesaid king asked for the customary tribute from them, he also ordered that some of them submit themselves to compulsory service, either in the armies or in the work. They had to serve the house. Nah, they began to complain at this offense from the hand of King David and took counsel, right? This is Confederacy Psalms 83, the Confederacy. All these tribes took counsel against David, against Israel, man. Whether to simply obey him or to withstand him as much as possible. However, one of them by the name of Genghis Khan, who seemed more sagacious and venerable, gave counsel that they would oppose their king's order, and they all unanimously rose against David. The story you didn't hear about, right? How your Bible connects to the indigenous truth in India Superior, what they call Grand Tartary, Greater Asia, Cathay, Land of the Khan, all the stuff we've been getting, right? We call it home sweet home. They call it America, boss. And this is a straight in your face recordation of the invasion more and more, dating back to the 1200s. They didn't just come here in 1492 and get expelled from Spain in 1452 and all this stuff happening without this recordation. Genghis Khan was the op based on the biblical tribal wars. Didn't want to pay tribute, didn't want to do service. But according to the birthright, they had to serve the house of Judah. High, head, not the tail. In code, you're the head, not the tail. Deuteronomy 28. They rose against David and killed him, and whoever they could find of his men. As for carrying out such a task, he said, we must all gather together as one. They were confederate as one against you, Managa. Back to the Tecumseh War is a derivative of this war. Tecumseh War, the same tribes that was fighting against Tecumseh, whether we're talking Chickasaw, Choctaw, Shawnee, whatever we're talking, are the same descendants or the same people based on the timeline timestamps that were fighting against Prester John, King David, and the Genghis Khan flow. Because they came together as one. And within each group of 5 men, 1 out of 5, and obeyed him in all things. Whoever does not obey him will be killed. Yep. This is the records of King David in 1202 being invaded by Genghis Khan. And this is why we on Prester John number 129. We're discussing the killing of King David, son of Prester John, perhaps, king of India, India Superior, by the Tatars. And they were fighting really like the Mongols, but the Mongols means the great ones. Mongol means great ones. Mongolian, you're talking about the great ones, the empire, the great ones. The Mongol is general, just like Moor, just means great. Mongol means Moor means Mongol. But which Moor are you, right? Which great are you? If you're rocking with the creator directly, that's the greatest you're going to get. Period. Prester John is King David. These are titles. In your Facebook. But one day you're going to search. You're going to be on Prester John 129. You've been keeping the code. Seeking HaWah. Seeking the answers. Asking the right questions. Seeking Ama. Seeing she is the emblem of America. Halal HaWah. And then you start to see clearly that you were meant to be the head, not the tail. So this is very natural for us to have these conversations, to rest on our Shabbat and be in this frequency, to get out of 440 hertz, to dodge the hijack, shake the static. Deuteronomy 30 verse 3, like the bro Dizzle. Let's get it from verse 2. Shall return unto HaWah. Who? Get it from verse 1. It shall come to pass when all these things are come upon you, the blessing and the curse, which I have set before you, and thou shalt bethink yourself among all nations, where HaWah has driven you, and shall return unto the Creator. You are now surfing a wave. You are now keeping a code. That's the only way to return, is to listen, to hearken, to hear, to see clear. You shall return unto HaWah and hearken to his voice. Because with observation, you collapse the wave pattern. And which coordinate will you hit? According to all that I command you this day, you and your children with all your heart, with all your soul, that then HaWah will turn your captivity. All right, so then we get restored. And which coordinate do you hit in the timestamp? and have compassion unto you, and will return and gather you from all the peoples where HaWah has scattered you. Like this will say, this is clear that we've been scattered all across the earth plane, and they just finding more dark-skinned people the further out they go. If any of thine that are dispersed be in the uttermost parts of the heaven, whoa. That's far out, my nigga. That's straight out. That's far out, right? Because you can hit the celestial by going straight. Worlds beyond the poles. Giannini. From there will HaWah, your power, gather you, and from there will he fetch you. And HaWah will bring you back into the land which your fathers possess. And you shall possess it. Which coordinate will you hit when you keep the code? HaWah brings you back into your land by default. You possess it by default. You got Shalom, he will do good. By default, you got that goodness, man. You back in the goodness. Multiply you above your fathers. And HaWah, your power will circumcise your heart and the heart of your seed to love HaWah with all your heart and with all your soul, that you may live, my nigga. And then curses will fall on your enemies. Anyone that hates you, HaWah will persecute. That's why they don't want you to come back to life. They don't want you to live. They don't want you to see clear. They don't want you to get the goodness. The goodness discussed in Hosea. They want you to get the goodness in the end of days. That comes with putting away those idols and putting away that harlotry. Surfing the wave. Be in the water. We're just talking about default coding. This is what happens when you listen. This is what happens when you are out of order, out of code. You get your land back. You get security for your children, children's children. You get salvation. You get your treasures. You get protection. You get your dragons. You can play with them. Now they could be at the banquet. Now you're popping off. You get your elements back. That fire, that water. You get your water back. When's the last time you were able to drink pure water? The pure water that brings you back to the age of 32 every time. That memso. You're connected. So, you become unstoppable again. Unmesswittable again. The hijack is running again. Running scared. Nervous. Trembling. Trembling, my nigga. All because you began to see clearly. And thou shalt return and hearken to the voice of HaWah, and do all his commandments which I command you this day. And HaWah, your power will make you overabundant, not overabundant. by default of you hearkening, listening, observing, you collapse the wave pattern in a good way. But you keep observing through Hijack City, celebrating their holidays, Halloweens, Easters, and Christmases. You keep worshiping their gods and their festivals and their monies, clocking in to Hijack City. You lose your abundance, you lose your Baruch, you lose your land. That's obvious. You're fighting over turfs that you don't own. Hijack City. HaWah means for us to be overabundant, Managa. HaWah means for us to be overabundant in all the work of our hand and the fruit of our body and in the fruit of your cattle and the fruit of your land for good. For HaWah will again rejoice over you for good as he rejoiced over your fathers, over your mothers. And that's truly Baruch. Only if you search, man. Only if you seeking, man. There ain't no substitution for truly searching and for truly seeking the Creator. There's no point in reading about his story, the timelines, and King David if you're just going to repeat the same mistakes. And most of our mistakes have been idolatry. That's the heart of Atlantis. That's the heart of the Egypt flow, Sumerian flow, all that stuff. The constant destruction based on idolatry. MHOE, man. KTC. Keep dripping in that mem sauce. Shabbat Shalom to the God. The river's flowing, the water's flowing. Just know it's all happening. And expect the goodness from our Creator. Expect the overabundance from HaWah. This is for you to begin to expect, because this is the default of the coding in this simulation of life. This is the default in the energy, the frequency, and the vibration, that is flowing out of you. This is what happens. This is karma in a good way. You know what I'm saying? This is the reaction, the natural by law reaction of our Creator. You get your land back. You get the abundance. You get Baruch, all the work of your head. You Baruch enjoy world. For your body, your children, that's what we do it for. That's what we do it for. You know, we keep the record so we can pass the records on. We buy the land so the children will have somewhere to, be sanctified, man, be protected. But all that is vanity without the code. There ain't no protection, Without HaWah, it's vain protection. It's vain security, and it's vain breath. So, when I say Shabbat Shalom, I'm saying, my Naga, we did it again. We got that rest again. We made it through another 6 days on a warpath with Dragon Canoe, with Tecum set, remembering our mothers, remembering our fathers, and doing our best to make them proud by doing something been done in such a very long time. We've been in these churches for a long time. We've been in these mosques for a long time. But keeping the code, well, my naga, that ain't been done in a long time. We've been murdering each other, slaughtering our brothers and our sisters for as long as we can remember in all kind of ways. We've been covetous, jealous, false witnesses. We ain't been honoring our mother and our father. We ain't been honoring our ancestors as a whole, as a community. We ain't been resting together. Once a strong, every strong. They say weak, we say strong. We ain't been resting, showing our unity, remembering HaWah, remembering creation. And we dang sure ain't been MHOE. We ain't been MHOE, my night. Here we are. Like Hosea 3 say, we have returned. And by seeking HaWah, we've been ignited. You know what I'm saying? We got that fire to continue to go through those caverns and seek the Prester, King David, the priest king. And that is the shepherd, Ezekiel 34, Ezekiel 37. That is the shepherd forever, King David. Where's Prester John? Who's Prester John? It's all happening. There ain't no time, Anaga. Only the way, man. Hey. Shabbat Shalom to the gods. We did it again. Look out for us, man. Keep the fire burning. And Anaga, keep the water flowing. ThaWaDa HaWah. Tribe up. Nation.